With Cox Internet and Home Life, you know when your pizza delivery is there.
Cox Home Life, show from porch camera.
Pizza!
View your Cox Home Life cameras right from your TV with your Contour voice remote.
Advertised features require Cox Internet and Contour TV subscriptions. Services provided by Cox licensed entities. See cox.com/licenses.
I'm perplexed. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. I'm perplexed. I'm wondering. My kid has been homesick and she got up at 10:30 and felt fine and drove herself to school. I'm like, I had to sleep. Whose kid are you? What have you done with my child? How have you gotten so diligent? I don't know. Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here. The phone number, if you want to be a part of the program, 877-97-ERIC, 877-973-7425. There is this from the Attorney General of the United States of America. Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, has sent out this memo to the Director of the FBI, the Executive Office of the U.S. Attorneys, the Assistant Attorney General Criminal Division, and to the U.S. Attorneys. In recent months, there has been a disturbing spike in harassment, intimidation, and threats of violence against school administrators, board members, teachers, and staff who participate in the vital work of running our nation's public schools. While spirited debate about policy matters is protected under our Constitution, the protection does not extend to threats of violence or efforts to intimidate individuals based on their views. Threats against public servants are not only illegal, they run counter to our nation's core values. Those who dedicate their time and energy to ensuring that our children receive a proper education in a safe environment deserve to be able to do their work without fear for their safety. So what you're telling me is, had the parents who are upset about critical theory in schools chased the school board members into bathrooms instead of showing up at public comment time at local school board meetings, he would be fine with it because it happens to everybody. It's inappropriate, but it happens to everybody. Those are Joe Biden's words, not mine, when asked about the Kristen Sinema situation. Kristen Sinema was harassed in the bathroom at Arizona State University by a woman who decided to film the encounter of Kristen Sinema using the bathroom while being yelled at. The same woman then got on an airplane that Kristen Sinema was on and flew to Washington, D.C. and harassed Kristen Sinema during the entire flight to Washington from Arizona, and then organized a gang at the airport to surround Kristen Sinema and harass her. And it's inappropriate, but it happens to everybody, is the way President Biden views it. But you show up at a school board meeting and denounce critical theory, or you show up outside a school board member's house and denounce critical theory, and suddenly the Attorney General wants you investigated. Is it a coincidence? I don't know. I'm just asking. Is it a coincidence that Merrick Garland's daughter is married to a guy who works for a progressive education nonprofit? I bet it's one that does Common Core as well, or critical theory in schools. I don't know. I'm just asking. I mean, this is kind of the bizarre world we live in. Now, listen, I need to set the parameters for you here personally. I've had people show up at my house to threaten me on my front porch. Trump supporters, 3 men. My children were chased through a store by someone yelling at them that their father was going to destroy America because I didn't support Trump in 2016. I've had gay rights activists drive past my house and yell at my family. I had someone one time, I assume it was a progressive activist, pull into my driveway and park for a moment. I've been swatted by progressive activists where someone called 911 claiming they were me and that I was murdering my wife, and the SWAT team showed up at my house. I don't find it appropriate for anyone on the left or the right to do this. When people on the right yesterday pointed out the level of harassment against Kristen Sinema was a party foul, reporters sprung into action and said, well, you do it too. And they're right. But just because other people do it too doesn't make it right. I want to review the tape for you, because I think it's actually really important that you have this in proper context. I want to go back to June 14th, 2017. On June 14th, 2017, Republicans were practicing for a baseball game in Northern Virginia, and a Bernie Sanders supporter named James Hodgkinson showed up and attempted the mass assassination of Republican members of Congress. Thankfully, he was a bad shot. He died. No one else did. Steve Scalise was seriously, critically injured, but recovered. The media covered the story for 3 to 4 days, and they worked very diligently to not cover the political views of James Hodgkinson. When it turned out James Hodgkinson was a Bernie Sanders supporter who was clearly crazy and clearly internalized that Republicans were going to kill grandma with their health care changes and tax cuts, James Hodgkinson set off to Northern Virginia to murder the Republican members of Congress and came very close to doing so, putting bullets in several of them. The moment it turned out he was a progressive activist who internalized Democrat rhetoric, the media changed the story, moved on to something else. James Hodgkinson was off the front page and out of the headlines after 3 days. The Hodgkinson situation came after February 6th, 2013. On February 6th, 2013, Floyd Lee Corkins walked in to the Family Research Council. Many friends of mine worked there. He had a bag full of Chick-fil-A and a gun. Thankfully, the security guard got into a shootout with him and stopped Corkins. Corkins' stated goal was to go into the Family Research Council, kill them, and stuff their mouths with Chick-fil-A sandwiches, which he considered to be a bigoted product. Floyd Lee Corkins, like James Hodgkinson, was a fan of the Southern Poverty Law Center's website, and Corkins got on the Southern Poverty Law Center's website and found FRC listed as a hate group and decided to go kill them. The media stopped covering the Corkins situation within hours when it turned out he was a progressive activist. And that came after January 8, 2011. On January 8th, 2011, a man named Jared Lochner in southern Arizona assassinated a federal judge and attempted to assassinate a member of Congress, Gabrielle Giffords. We know for certain it is not in dispute and is in the public record. To the extent Jared Lochner was political, he leaned left, but he was actually just insane and had zero political motivation. Unlike Hodgkinson, unlike Corkins, Lochner had zero motivation whatsoever. He was just insane. I was on CNN at the time. I was in the news media on TV for all of these situations. The Gifford situation got disproportionate coverage. In part, they immediately blamed Republicans. Before we even knew Lochner's motives, the CNN news crews were running stories about Sarah Palin having targeted Gifford's district with a targeting icon that looked like a rifle scope, along with a number of other districts. They were blaming Sarah Palin. The New York Times got sued recently because the editorial board yet again blamed Sarah Palin for the shooting, even though even the New York Times reporters said it wasn't true. But it didn't matter. People internalized it was Republicans who did this. It was Republican rhetoric. It was the Tea Party for a week. I remember that week on CNN very well. I had been in Kiowa Island for the first time at a conference called Awakenings, was there when it happened, drove back and had to be on TV every day that week and answer for the militaristic, angry tone of the Tea Party showing up at places. I remember that. And it went on for more than a week because it was a Democrat who was shot. You know what? The brain biblical donkeys who stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6th played into the media's hands here. Because now whenever anything like this happens, January 6th, January 6th, January 6th. January 6th is terrible. January 6th is beyond the pale. Pay no attention to Antifa and Black Lives Matter burning down America. Pay no attention to the firebomb Molotov cocktail business. Hey, did you know someone Molotov cocktailed the Texas governor's mansion and burned it to the ground? That was in 2008. Did the media ever cover it? It was during an far-left, anti-free trade protest rallies. Someone went up to the governor's mansion, Molotov cocktail, but we don't know why. We don't know who it was. We can't tell the motive. Or remember the guy who tried to Molotov cocktail an ICE facility and got shot and killed? He was inspired by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's rhetoric about concentration camps at the border. But January 6th, yes, you see, this is why the people on January 6th should have never done what they did. They've made it very easy for the media to say, pay no attention to all of that. Look at this. This was the worst. This was an invasion of the Capitol, an insurrection. Somebody died. Police officers got killed. And it's all true that somebody died. Police officers got killed indirectly. Someone directly got killed trying to crawl through a window and unlock a door so they could get to members of Congress. It's given the media a way to distract from what the left does. But here's the thing. What the right has been doing, of like the post-Christian right, I should say, has been doing is new for them. The left has been rioting, protesting, and firebombing since the 1960s. The Weather Underground was not a right-wing phenomenon, nor was the Puerto Rican shooting in the U.S. Capitol in the early 80s. This both sides do it stuff, yeah, the left and the media are going to do it. But here's the bottom line. It doesn't make it right. You should not be showing up at someone's home to protest them. Down in Florida, there are education activists, anti-CRT activists who are showing up at the homes of school board members with their children and don't tread on me flags, trying to harass the school board member. You should not do that. It is bad. It is wrong. But it is remarkable to me that the left and the media will say of Kristen Sinema, well, I mean, she's a senator. She's got to face her constituents. They had every right to be in the bathroom. On March 9th, 2014, the publication Jezebel released a story with the headline, "Behind Every Bullied Woman is a Man Yelling About Free Speech." They were upset that the website Reddit was allowing people to post links to nude pictures of celebrities, including Jennifer Lawrence, that had been stolen from cell phones. They were not freely transmissible. They had been swiped off cell phones, and they were being published. And after being published, the website said, well, it's a free speech issue. And Jezebel says, behind every bullied woman is a man yelling about free speech. Yesterday, after the activists stormed in to harass Kristen Sinema in the bathroom and then on an airplane and then at the airport, the same publication, Jezebel, ran this headline: absolutely bully Kristen Sinema outside of her bathroom stall. And justified bullying women, the publication that said behind every bullied woman is a man yelling about free speech. They wanted to bully the woman. The subtitle gave away the game. Sinema is holding us all back by not going along for the progressive ride. They're hypocrites. It doesn't mean you should give in to it. And we should point it out. And I should also note the double standard here is only going to amplify things. James Hodgkinson was a progressive activist who attempted the mass assassination of Republican members of Congress. Today, the Supreme Court is meeting. Someone was in a car that the police were having to defuse, investigate, get the person out. The left is firing people up over abortion decisions at the Supreme Court. Is it another violent person, another would-be violent person? Was it something? I don't know yet. We don't know yet. But if we do, I can tell you what the media is going to say. If it was someone wanting to blow up the Supreme Court or something, what they'll say is, well, they were inspired by the right on January 6th. No. The right was inspired by the constant stream of left-wing protesters going back to 1968 at the Democratic Convention, who have gotten in the streets and marched and mobilized and burned down businesses, and the media and the Democrats continue to give them a pass. Remember the small business owners who wanted to reopen their businesses last March? They were condemned by the media, and then after the George Floyd riots, everyone should be in the streets rioting and exercising their civil right to burn down small businesses. It's not that the media has no standards, it's that they have a double standard. And when they have a double standard, do not be surprised when people on the right start living regardless of the double standard, because they know it doesn't matter what they do, they're going to get called on it. This leads to so many things. And I got to tell you, the media holding due sides to two different standards is why you get more crisis politics in this country, because the right already knows we're going to get blamed anyway. We might as well go for broke. And so they do. Still doesn't make it right, and you should not do it. The way we use the internet, well, it's changed over the last decade. Security tools have mostly stayed the same. Aura provides complete digital security to help protect your online accounts, finances, devices, and so much more in an easy-to-use app. Most credit card companies do a good job of protecting you against fraudulent purchases. But what if a scammer files for unemployment in your name, or if your social media account's hacked? Aura's protection goes beyond your credit card. Between your photos, your finances, your devices, your connections, your world's more online than ever. You may have security systems in place for real life, but what about your online life? Aura can sound the alarm if your digital presence is at risk. They provide digital security protection. They keep your online finances, your personal information, and your technology safe from online threats. It's all-in-one protection for identity theft, financial fraud, malware, scam sites, so much more. With Aura, you'll get notified to fraud and threats fast. If your online accounts, your passwords are leaked online, you're going to be told by Aura. Like a lot of people, they won't tell you. Aura is easy to set up. All plans come with $1 million in identity theft insurance to help recover stolen funds, and experience U.S.-based customer support that's got your back. For a limited time, Aura is offering you guys 40% off plans when you visit aura.com/Eric, E-R-I-C-K. You go to aura.com/Eric, again, E-R-I-C-K. You get complete protection. You get savings of up to 40%. That's aura.com/Eric, aura.com/ERICK. You can call in and be a part of the program, 877-97-ERIC, 877-973-7425. I gotta dwell for just a moment on this topic. Let's talk about Joe Biden's butt. No, not his B-U-T-T butt, but his B-U-T butt. When asked about the harassment of Kristen Sinema, Joe Biden says it is inappropriate, but it happens to everybody. He's supposed to be the leader. And if it's inappropriate, you should say it's inappropriate and not give it a caveat. But it happens to everybody. It's part of the process. No. Chasing someone into a bathroom and yelling at them while they're in the bathroom stall shouldn't happen to everybody. Buying a plane ticket to go to Washington for the sole purpose of harassing someone on the plane shouldn't happen. And then mobbing her at the airport when she gets there shouldn't happen. Neither should showing up at people's homes to harass them because you disagree with them politically, whether you are a anti-critical theory or anti-Kristen Sinema or anti-Homeland Security or anti-me, or what. You should not show up to someone's house and harass them and their family. What's more troubling here is the double standard, in that there seems to be more and more a breakdown of the law. When Tim Keller wrote A Reason for God, one of the things he writes about is the great says who. If there is no God, then who's to say what's wrong or right? You can't do this. Says who? Says the other person. The great says who. If there isn't a common ground for morality, divinely created or otherwise, then it's all about the mob. And if it's the mob, then the law doesn't matter. And we are getting to a state of lawlessness in this country that you and I can all see. And it's on both sides. Let's not pretend that our side is purer than their side. There literally are conservative activists protesting outside a local school board member's house down in Florida over critical race theory. It should be unacceptable. Even if it's your issue, you should not do that. And if you don't think so, let's call in, give me your address. I will be sure to give it out over the phone so we can have a mob show up at your house and see how you like it. Your civil servants didn't sign on for protest outside their houses, nor should they. It's not how we as Americans conduct our discourse. And when you stop and say, well, the other side does it, you're not the other side. Your ways aren't their ways. It was Ross Douthat in the New York Times who said, you don't like the Christian right? Just wait till you get a load of the post-Christian right. And we're starting to see that. But what we're seeing as well is a secular left that has been doing this forever, and the media and the politicians won't condemn them, and so they're firing other people up to do the same thing. Americans continue to navigate through multiple crises this year. We the People, a Bradley speaker series, offers insights and ideas on the current challenges we face from some remarkable organizations the Bradley Foundation supports. Visit bradleyfdn.org/liberty to watch their most recent episode. It features Stephen Suckup, author of The Dictatorship of Woke Capital, How Political Correctness Captured Big Business, an Encounter Books publication. In the episode, Suckup discusses the left's gradual takeover of corporate America and why the free market hasn't been able to prevent it, the dangerous impact of shareholder activism, and efforts to push back on it. That's Bradley, with an LEY at the end, fdn.org/liberty to watch the video. New episodes debut weekly. Go back often, subscribe to their YouTube channel to be notified when a new episode is posted. That's bradleyfdn.org/liberty. Hello there. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-97-ERIC, 877-973-7425. I want to go to the phones to David calling. David, you're going to be up first today. Welcome to the program.
Always a pleasure, sir. Enjoy listening to you. By the way, real quick, you should go to Tulsa. It's a beautiful city. I lived there for a year.
I need to go out there. And for those of you who don't know what David's talking about, we're on KRMG now out in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I've never been to Tulsa. I need to go.
Yeah, they have a campus under Oral Roberts University. Cancer Treatment Centers of America bought their 3 buildings in a beautiful campus. But yeah, it'd be worth your while to go spend a few days out there. Anyway, going back to the original question, I was wondering if you heard about that story down in South Georgia where a person got caught spraying graffiti, KKK graffiti, on mailboxes and on. Have you heard that story?
Yeah, actually, or was this the one in Douglasville to the west of Atlanta I talked about yesterday? I know there were a couple of them.
Okay. I didn't hear you about that yesterday. I didn't get to have a chance to listen to you yesterday, but I was getting your feedback on that. Is that kind of some of the stuff that the left is trying to do to intimidate, or what do you think?
So, okay.
And I'll hang up. Have a great day.
Yeah, listen, David, thanks very much for the phone call. I'm glad you raised this issue. I don't think it's coordinated. I do think, however, there are people who become obsessed with issues. Now, this can happen on the left or the right, but this is a particularly more and more common occurrence on the left. There are people who get upset with particular issues, and they think those issues are not getting covered in the way they should be covered. And it tends to be stories of their own identity, which is why it actually happens, these sorts of things happen more on the left than the right, because people on the left tend to define themselves more by attributes of their identity, whether they're gay or transgender or the color of their skin or their ethnicity. And so what they do when they believe there is a real problem and it's not getting the coverage that it should get, they then perpetuate the story by falsely seeding examples for the media. So, for example, in New York City, there were a situation last year where someone left very homophobic comments, the F word for the gay slur. They spray painted it, I believe it was, somewhere where it could be seen. And there was general harassment, anti-gay, homophobic harassment, and it turned out to be a gay activist who had done it. In another part of the country, a black church was vandalized with a lot of graffiti on it, the N-word spray painted, and it turned out to be a black member of the church. And here now in Georgia, outside of Atlanta, a woman concerned about race and racism who is black started sending notes to members of her community claiming to be a member of the KKK and was going to kill their kids and hang them, engage in lynchings. The letters were spread out over a series of months, and it turns out it was a black lady in the community doing it. Part of this is, of course, there's the mental issue, very much the mental issue. But the other aspect of this that you really do have to pay attention to and keep up on with these sorts of situations is very precisely that people, when they identify themselves in a particular way and they then become aggrieved that issues are not being covered as they should, they tend to try to generate a story to be able to amplify that issue. So you fundamentally believe racism is bad. You identify as a black person. You identify as someone who hates racism. You do not think the local media is covering it enough. You begin to engage in hate crimes against yourself and other people of your race, hoping you're not going to get caught so that the media will finally cover the story you feel passionately about. And the reason all of this is happening is because, particularly on the left, and this is why it happens on the left, is because people identify by their intersectional race characteristics. I'm black, I'm gay, I'm straight, I'm cisgendered, I'm non-cisgender, transgender, I'm Christian, I'm Muslim, I'm what? They divide it all out. And in particular, it tends to happen most commonly gay, transgender, and black. There is very rarely a story of a Hispanic person engaging in anti-Hispanic hate, trying to get news media coverage of it by faking crimes. It very typically is black or gay or transgender. Occasionally now, given news headlines in the last couple of months, anti-Asian, it's Asian activists doing it, but overwhelmingly it's black, gay, transgender. And it's not a coincidence that those are the three most commonly attributed identifying characteristics of the intersectional left that get media coverage. These people want attention, not for themselves, but for the issue. In a vainglorious, vain, selfish society. And here's also a painful truth. We wouldn't be seeing these sorts of things crop up and happen constantly if the media were not so obsessed with these things. These people know that they can go around painting KKK on mailboxes, and CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, and NBC, they're all going to show up. The local news van is going to show up. The reporters from nationwide papers are going to show up. They're going to show up, and they're going to cover it, and they're going to use it as outrage to show, see, we told you all, racism still exists in this country. Look at what's happening here. And really, it's all a bit of a setup. That's why it's going. They feed off the media coverage. And it's a shame because, again, racism is real in this country. I have seen real racism in this country. I have been with black friends, and I have seen real racism in this country. It is the exception, not the rule, but it happens. I have seen real homophobia in this country. I have a friend, we used to work together, who is gay. I have been with him and had to experience the disparaging remarks made to him. I have been with friends who are black and seen how the cab driver would not pick us up because there was a black person in the group. I've seen this with my own eyes. It really does happen. And the problem is that when these people try to amplify it, highlight it, make it more manifest and more malignant than it is, they then disqualify and discredit the overall claims. When this bad thing really does happen, maybe it's just made up. It's kind of like calling everything racist. When everything becomes racist, nothing is racist. It's true. It's the way it works. When people hear that everything is racist, they no longer think of anything as racist. They think you've weaponized the word. And so it falls out of credit, falls out of favor. So I would encourage the media to consider that they themselves are causing these stories to perpetuate. But also, to those of you who care passionately about the issue, be mindful of those like-minded souls with you who would resort to crazy town to try to get more coverage on these issues. They shouldn't, you shouldn't, they shouldn't be encouraged. And all of us should condemn these sorts of things so that people are discouraged from trying to do them. The reason they continue to happen is because the media continues to take the bait every time. Boy, I didn't expect to spend as much time on that, but I'm glad David called, because we talked about that story a little bit yesterday, and I had these thoughts to say, but there was so much happening yesterday. I'm glad we were able to circle back and get to it. But we need to get to reconciliation as well and what's happening. I am convinced, really convinced, that the Democrats are right now trying to use the debt ceiling to get rid of the filibuster. Here's what you need to know. A number of Republicans have said they would vote to end the filibuster for the debt ceiling. They're tipping their hand. They're making it public. They would vote to end the debt ceiling, or the filibuster for the debt ceiling, setting a precedent that they will vote to curtail the filibuster for other things. They are playing into the Democrats' hands. Roy Blunt, senator from Missouri, is the latest to come out and say it. He's term limited. He doesn't care. He'll say these things now. Undermine the filibuster. They're trying to build pressure on Joe Manchin to get rid of the filibuster. He said, you said you wouldn't get rid of the filibuster, and now you did for that. Surely you will for this as well. This is all part of the Democrats' plan to build the case for getting rid of the filibuster. That's why Joe Biden is refusing to use reconciliation for the debt ceiling. The Republicans are going to have to hold the line on this. I think we're going to have to do an action item. I think we're going to have to do an action army alert and hold Republicans accountable for this. We have got to make sure nationwide the Republicans in the Senate understand, do not vote to end a filibuster on the debt ceiling. Force the Democrats to do it themselves or extract concessions from them. It must be done, and Republicans are going wobbly on the issue, and they're going wobbly on the issue, which is just emboldening the Democrats to go down this road. How are the Republicans so bad at this? McConnell gets it. This is not a Mitch McConnell issue here. As much as I blame McConnell for stuff as well, please just remember that he's the one trying to hold the Republicans in line on this. And it's other Republicans, and to a person, it seems like the ones who aren't running for office again are the troublemakers here. You have got to vote to get rid of the filibuster. Or you got to vote to not get rid of the filibuster. You got to vote to force the Democrats to do reconciliation with the debt ceiling. You've got to do it. Otherwise, they're going to continue to build pressure on Manchin. And remember, you've got to be a release valve. You've got to be able to take the pressure off Manchin and Sinema. If you vote to get rid of the filibuster for the debt ceiling, you're just building more pressure on Sinema and Manchin to get rid of it for voting rights, for civil rights, for everything else out there. They've held the line so well, and the line is starting to break because of the debt ceiling. The Democrats are doing this on purpose, and they know the Republicans are going to cave. And if the Republicans cave, they're undermining McConnell's ability to hold them together on other fights. They've got to hold the line on the filibuster for the debt ceiling. They have got to refuse to give up that filibuster. They have got to force the Democrats to use reconciliation. And when the Democrats don't, they have got to force concessions from the Democrats to get Republican votes for the debt ceiling. If they don't do otherwise, the Democrats are going to keep careening us crisis to crisis. We're going to go from crisis to crisis, knowing that if they get the Republicans to crisis, the Republicans will break apart and cave. All the Republicans do by giving up the filibuster to raise the debt ceiling is perpetuate the politics of crisis. They have got to hold the line and make sure the Democrats understand that they cannot break the GOP on this by leading us into crisis. They will be less likely in the future to lead us into crisis. It's that simple. It's that simple. And that these Republicans don't know or don't care is going to be a real problem for us moving forward. You know, the most dangerous senators are the ones who aren't running for re-election. They start going wobbly. You saw it with the Democrats. All these Democrats who decided that they weren't going to run for office again, provided the votes to get Obamacare passed in 2010. This is going to happen on our side with the debt ceiling unless we pressure them strongly not to cave on the filibuster for the debt ceiling. That we got to watch them on this, or else they're going to sell out to Chuck Schumer. Now, I want to give you a great sale where you're not selling out, you're cleaning the air in your house. It's the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. Right now, you can buy one, get one free. They've extended the sale over. They were going to cancel it on Friday, after Friday, but they've held it over for another week. Right now, it's buy one, get one, Eden Pure Thunderstorm. What you do is you go to EdenPureDeals.com and you click on my name, Eric Erickson. Look for the green circle. You'll see my name, Eric Erickson. Click through, and you'll see the Eden Thunderstorm 2-pack. And it's over $200. I'm going to tell you, it's over $200 to get this until you use the keyword. And then suddenly, miracle of miracles, behold, you buy one, get one free, less than $200. What you do is you go to EdenPureDeals.com, put the Eden Pure Thunderstorm in your checkout cart, go to the cart and click the checkout button. And what you'll get is a discount code box, and you put in Eric Bogo, ERICKBOGO, Eric Bogo, and click apply, and suddenly the price will fall. You'll get one, and you'll get another one for free. It's EdenPureDeals.com, the Eden Pure Thunderstorm, their BOGO offer. Go to EdenPureDeals.com, put it in your cart, use the discount code Eric Bogo, ERICKBOGO at checkout. Buy two. You'll get the second one for free. Buy one, get one at EdenPureDeals.com. Hi there, it is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-97-ERIC, 877-973-7425. Elizabeth Warren, I actually agree with Pocahontas on something. You know, her Senate colleagues tell me she's not a pleasant person. I have a friend who was at Harvard Law School with her who has had several stories about her, that she was just a difficult person, that she felt very entitled, and she and her husband were not very gracious with other people. They were very cold, very standoffish. He relates a story at one point of someone in the school needing some help, and pretty much everyone stepped up to help the person except the Warrens. She even in the Senate, they say she's a very, Democrats now, I'm talking Democrats say she's just not a fun person to have to deal with. But I agree with her on something. She wants a insider trading inquiry at the Federal Reserve. She's calling for an investigation into whether top Federal Reserve officials engaged in insider trading in 2020 when some bought and sold securities that could have benefited from central bank policy moves. Now, she sits on the committee that oversees the Fed, and she sent a letter to the SEC chair, Gary Gensler, asking him to look into the transactions. Richard Clarida, the Fed's vice chair, and two of the 12 regional presidents, Robert Kaplan of the Fed Reserve in Dallas and Eric Rosengren for the Federal Reserve in Boston, engaged in transactions that have drawn blowback. While a lot of the trades were not unusual for central bank officials, they occurred during a year which the Fed rolled out a wide-ranging market rescue touching practically every quarter of finance. They may have given central bankers unique insight into what might happen next with asset prices. I kind of think that we need to look into the fact that the Fed is withholding a lot of the information on Kaplan in Dallas is kind of a big red flag that we need to look into this. It's not good that they're doing this. And so why not? Mr. Kaplan traded millions of dollars in individual stocks last year, and Mr. Rosengren traded in real estate-tied securities when he was warning about problems in the market. Both officials resigned last week amid the furor over their recent financial disclosures, although Mr. Rosengren attributed his early retirement to health issues. Mr. Clarida shifted between $1 million and $5 million from a broad-based bond fund to broad-based stock funds on February 27, 2020. Now, I don't know that that's a big deal, because given what happened to the stock market shortly thereafter, I don't know that I would worry about his stuff. But Kaplan and others, the fact that he resigned, I think we are reaching a point in this country where the bureaucrats think of themselves as so important. We need to do what we can to rein in the bureaucrats. Now, the Democrats want to rein in Facebook. We need to actually talk about this issue and what happened with Facebook yesterday. When we come back, I've got some suggestions that you're probably not going to hear through most of conservative media for a lot of reasons we'll get into when we get back. Y'all, from the moment I sat in my X chair, my body said, this is what a real office chair is supposed to be like. I had gone through office chairs, and then I got my X chair, and it is the perfect chair. In fact, my X chair, unlike your chair, can massage my back while I'm sitting doing 3 hours of talk radio. It can even heat up and cool down depending on my office, which tends to run hot in the summer and cold in the wintertime. And it's all in the LMX massage and temperature regulation, exclusively designed for the X chair. And once you feel the customized support of X chair's patented dynamic lumbar DVL, they call it, dynamic variable lumbar, your back's going to be happy. What I need you to do, you got to go check out the X chair, because I bought y'all know the expensive brand, and I bought it. It was a good chair. It actually was a really good chair, and X chair takes it to the next level. What you need to do is go to xchaireric.com now. That's X, the letter X, chair, ERICK.com, or call 844-4XChair for $100 off your order. X-Chair has a 30-day guarantee of complete comfort. You can finance your purchase for as little as $30 a month. It's xchaireric, ERICK.com. It is worth it.
Pop quiz. What's 80% air, soft where you want it, firm where you need it, made in a lab, and breathes? The GelFlex Grid. And only Purple mattresses have it. It's a super stretchy, ultra squishy material that adapts and flexes around pressure points and doesn't retain heat. Purple mattresses cradle, support, and soothe, giving you the best night's sleep ever. And right now, get a free set of sheets and a pillow with the purchase of select Purple mattresses at purple.com/sleepwell. Terms apply.
Now is the chance to use reliable energy to grow your money with the Dominion Energy Reliability Investment. Our new investment product offers competitive returns, no maintenance fees, and flexible online access to your money. Make the reliable investment in reliable energy. The Dominion Energy Reliability Investment. To find out more, go online to reliabilityinvestment.com. That's reliabilityinvestment.com.